Hey guys, Ed from Paranormal Inc. Ohio here, coming at you with another ghost story. Tonight's ghost story is about the Sallie house in Atchison, Kansas. The Sallie house is rumored to be haunted by a little girl's spirit who had died in the house, or is the little girl just a demon in disguise to try to trick you in by rituals and sacrifices done in the basement of the Sallie house. In the late 1800s, Dr. Charles Finney had the house built. Dr. Finney lived and worked at the house. It was his doctor's office and his home. He's seen a lot of people there, helped a lot of people, lost some people as well. Until 1906, a tragic event happened. Dr. Finney was woken in the middle of the night by Sallie's mother saying, "She's very ill, she needs to be seen right away." Dr. Finney brought her in, examined her, and came to the conclusion that her appendix was ready to burst, and it needed to come out. So Dr. Finney prepped her as best as he could, kept her in there, got her ready, but unfortunately he did not wait for the anesthetic to take full effect. He started the operation on her, and midway through the operation, Sallie's screams of pain quieted and she went limp, dying on the operating table. Some say her appendix finally burst before Dr. Finney could get to it, or that the pain was just so much that the little girl just couldn't do it and she had passed away. Immediately after this, the house started acting weird. Pictures would be turned upside down, things would be thrown, lights would turn on and off. They'd hear sounds and laughters of a little girl's voice. Dr. Finney's family lived in this house for over a century with different members of the family. Until one day, in 1993, and prior to that, a woman had lived in the Sallie house after Finney's family left. She lived there for 40 years, said minimal activity happened, but there was still child's laughter, knocks, lights turning on and on, etc., etc. Then in 1993, Tony and Deborah Pickman bought the home as they were waiting for the birth of their child, Taylor. They loved the home. They couldn't believe the price that they got for it. So they decided to make one of the rooms upstairs the nursery for little Taylor. Little did they know that the whatever was in the house immediately showed who it was and what it wanted. It immediately took over the nursery. It loved the nursery. Things would happen in the nursery. Noises, scratches, stomping. We'd hear child laughter, growls. The dolls would be taken off the wall and put in a perfect circle on the floor. Electronics would mysteriously die as soon as they got near the nursery door. So Tony had decided he was going to move the baby's room. He wanted this to stop, or at least protect his baby. So as they were moving the room around, whatever that decision was, made this thing upset. And it started taking its aggression out on Tony. Tony would wake up with scratches, bites. He would be attacked in the house, hit, thrown. He woke up from a dream one night of a little girl dragging him away. And when he woke up, he had little fingerprints burned into his arm. They contacted the paranormal investigating group to come and look. It was on national TV. They did an investigation. They saw many things. They felt cold spots. They saw things be thrown. Poltergeist activity. Some of them were sick. Some of them were really hurt. Whatever was haunting this home was very violent, and it hated men, because it would mostly attack only men, but leave the women alone. But after the investigation, it just only got worse. Fires would break out in the house for no reason. Tony was now getting more aggressively attacked, and it came to the point where Tony and Deborah they tried for 2 years after that to live with whatever it is. Bought it toys, if it was Sallie. Tried to keep life with it, tried to communicate with it, but it only wanted to hurt them. So after 2 years, they decided, regrettably, to move. They moved out, and the Sallie house stood in its position for years. For 10 years, the Pickmans stayed away from the Sallie house. They decided to go back. They brought a psychic with them this time. They investigated the home. Barely anything happened for the first, second, and even the third time. But the fourth time, Tony was determined to find out why this thing was doing this. So the fourth time, Tony went in and was arguing with it, wanting it to show itself. And it did. It threw him through into another room and pinned him up against the wall and held him there for what seemed to be an eternity. It scratched him over and over again. When Tony left the house, he was battered and bruised. And when the Pickmans, excuse me, The Sallie House has been on lots of TV shows and lots of movies. There was even a book wrote about it by Deborah Pickman herself, The Haunting of the Sallie House, where she had wrote that when they first moved in, Tony was in the kitchen. He was getting himself something to drink. He looked over and saw the apparition of a little girl. It scared him. He dropped his cup and it shattered into a million pieces. And as he looked at the little girl shattered her just like the cup did. And he ran up to the room to his wife, screaming at the top of his lungs, "I saw her, I saw her." That's just one of the many tales of the horrible hauntings in this home. The Sallie House still stands to this day. In 2016, the owners put the house up for sale for $1 million, for mostly just to be a paranormal investigation spot. You can rent the house to this day for the hour, or if you're brave enough, by the night. Many teams have gone to the Sallie House to investigate, and they have ran out of the house in the middle of the investigation, never to come back again, and most of them leave their stuff there because they don't want to go back in the house. Whatever is haunting the Sallie House is something evil, is something bad, and if it's using the form of a little girl to try to lure you in, which demons will do, then that's one thing. Or is the house just haunted by Sallie and she's very mad at men because Dr. Finney killed her in such a horrible, tragic way? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this ghost story, and we will see you Friday for Fear Friday Live, and thanks everybody for coming, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I love each and every one of you. Thank you very, very much. Goodbye.